She does bring up a very important point, which if you guys remember in yesterday's press conference, Senator Inouye said, we got all the resources, we can do this, that, but we need, and if you remember, the political will to do it. And that's where I think we're gonna be able to cross some of the barriers. Senator Inouye herself says, if you don't have the political will to do it, because there's nothing stopping us from doing exactly what we know we can do, but political will. And that means the lethargy pushed by the people into the legislative process should be able to make it something that's very accomplishable. I'm very optimistic.
That's why yesterday was so exciting, because before we had a Republican governor, the legislature didn't have a political will. And thanks to your Republican leadership of talking about having a better economy with clean energy and getting off fossil fuels that have really caged us into an economy that's dependent on others, I think that better government came about because the right message, the right leadership came about. And so I'm just really excited about this session. Because I know that we have the right message about better government.
Well, Representative Pine is on the Finance Committee.
Yes.
And you know how tough it is when you don't have enough general excise tax money to provide the needs of the different really critical programs that we have. So why are we sending money to foreign governments to bring in polluting oil? I mean, that's basically the question that everyone is asking now in this state. So, Representative Pine, you're very aware if that money stays in state, if the $1 billion or $2 billion stays in state, creates jobs, helps with the new economy, the renewable energy economy, then that gives your Finance Committee actually some funds, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. If you just look in the Department of Education, and their biggest increase in costs have been with energy. With all the new schools that are being air conditioned now, they're spending through the roof just on their energy bills, and have written many letters to the governor, having an emergency release of funds just to pay for energy. So I'm really excited about what happened yesterday. I'm so excited about what's going to happen in the future. I think right now the people will give the legislators the political will to do what it takes to make this happen.
I did want to mention another thing that they had in the press conference, and I really do think that the people need to see this side of the message as well. Not only is it good for the economy and for our dollars here in Hawaii, not only is it good for the environment, but the third reason why I think that this is the time and the place and we've got the right message is that they were saying if we should have some kind of interruption in our fuel supply, that we would have only 14, at the most, 21 days worth of food for this island. And people need to understand that it's a security issue. It's a how do you feed your family issue should there be some kind of emergency or some interruption. And so it's serious business. It's not only just, let's keep Hawaii green or which is very important to all of us and our keiki, but it's also how do we feed our family in case of an emergency. And we are an island state. We're very vulnerable, and we need to be able to have these types of things in place to protect us and our families in case of an emergency.
I wanted to add one kudo to Representative Thielen. We served in the 90s together, and Cynthia, I want to confess that some of the things you said in the 90s I thought was off the wall. It was special. You were out there as a pioneer, and some of this stuff, I said, wow, she really thinks that wave energy is going to come to pass. And all the events that have come to pass, the Iraq War and all the other things that have really brought to focus, it means that we've awakened now with $5 a gallon. But I think we and the people cannot fall back asleep again. We can't go back to what happened in the 70s when oil spiked, and then we kind of went back down. We got comfortable again. Cynthia, don't let us do that again.
No,
because that's the temptation that when people say, well, look, I'm back to my $20 a month or $20 a week or whatever it was you pay for your little car instead of 40, the tendency is, well, maybe it's okay. We can't fall asleep again. There's an imperative awakenedness.
I have a long-term memory on this issue. in the 1970s with the crisis, people were sleeping in their cars overnight in front of gas stations to be able to fill up. And it was really a crisis. What you said is correct. We have a 2-week supply of petroleum, of gasoline, and things get cut off, and we just are cut off. I was on the emergency gas rationing task force put together by the former Governor Ariyoshi. And we were pulling together, trying to figure out a way that we could let people have a fair share of gasoline and not be unfair to people. And then those who actually were biking, riding their bikes, might have coupons where they could then say, let's carpool or let's do something to help everyone. It was a group, we were trying to pull together something because we were all in a crisis together. And then the emergency subsided, task force disbanded, and people became complacent again. We can't do that. I mean, they were through this one time. A lot of people here in Hawaii will remember that. And remember, maybe your kids slept in the car to be able to fill up the tank. Maybe you were one of the kids sleeping in the car to be able to fill up the tank. And we don't want to go back to those days. We don't have to now, because we now have a plug-in car that's going to work. We now have legislators sitting right here that are very determined that Hawaiian Electric gets off of fossil fuel. And we now have legislators sitting right here that say no more billions of dollars going out to buy foreign oil to bring into Hawaii. We've got a better way to do it. We'll use the ocean energy, we'll use the sun, and we'll use the
Cynthia,
wind.
this is a Sarah Hunt question, if I may. What is your vision, being that you started out as the pioneer? Is this 70% by 2030 what we should be looking at? Or do you have more parts of the vision than the government? The governor's
further.
vision is...
Further, I would say that the power for all of the lights and the electrical needs in our homes and our businesses should come from renewable energy. And we can do that. We can now. I said that, 2 years ago? We can now do it
By
within 8 years.
what year should we be able to do the electricity?
I would say within 8 years. And we can do
Okay.
it. You know, the
2016.
the EPRI, which is the think tank for the utilities, utility funded by national utilities, they have an entity within that that looks at wave energy. They've looked at the Hawaiian waters, and they've determined that wave energy will provide 100% of the power needs of all of the neighbor islands, and it will provide 80% of Oahu's power needs. Luckily, Maui Electric, a branch of Hawaiian Electric, has listened to that, and they're moving ahead with the wave energy converters for Maui. This more of that should be happening right on Oahu. And we need to get the administration, Department of Business and Economic Development, to really get on board on this, to move things ahead so we can do
Yeah,
it.
the world is
In
watching.
Spain, they're doing
Yeah.
EIS for their wave energy center that's looking at all the technologies that are available. So when those technologies are ready to go online, they simply come and plug in. The EIS will have been completed for everything.
The world is watching.